are awarded, Ohio small businesses each year are awarded about 300 SBIR or STTR grants worth about $130 million in total. So SBIR is Small Business Innovation and Research Grants, and STTR is a variation, Small Business Technology Transfer grants. I'm going to say Ohio businesses do very well compared to other states as well. We're always in the top 10, usually around number 8 or number 9 for the most awards for a state. In Ohio and nationally, most of these awards come from the Department of Defense. And some of those, a relatively small number, but some of those in Ohio come from DARPA, where we're going to be talking about today. Lots and lots of others come from what you think of with the Department of Defense, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and other smaller components of the DoD. And then outside of the DoD, Ohio does very well in SBIR and STTR awards coming from the Department of Energy, the National Institutes of Health, National Science Foundation, NASA, etc., various of the other federal agencies that generally report at the cabinet level to the president. But again, today our focus is on DARPA. Each of these agencies has their own related SBIR, STTR program. They're all very similar, but they all kind of have their own personality. And DARPA's particularly has its own personality. Jennifer Thabet, who manages the Small Businesses Programs Office at DARPA, is going to tell us about that in more detail. So most of our discussion today will be from Jennifer. I'm going to start off with just a very, very brief overview into how OAI helps. And we'll have Jennifer talk about DARPA's program. And then at the end, 2 short presentations about other help that's available from the Ohio PTAC, from Joey Scott, and several of the Ohio PTAC representatives are here today, and also from the Small Business Administration from Shonda Harris. And we're going to try to hold Q&A for the end. Please put questions into the chat as we go, and we will address them all towards the end. And also, we will make the slides and a recording of this available afterwards as well. So very briefly, Ohio Aerospace Institute, and particularly myself and Anthony, my colleague, help companies like you and entrepreneurs like you across all steps along the SBIR journey, from where you might be right now, just really unaware of what the programs are, to considering applying. We can help you think through which agency might be a good fit and which topics might be a good fit. We help companies prepare their proposals, their applications. We don't write them for you, but we can help you strategize and look over your shoulder. Once you win an award, we can help you in the contracting stages if necessary. That's usually pretty straightforward, but it can be a little bit tricky. And then once you're executing on your award, we can help you manage your way through that and prepare for the next things that you might need. That may be future financing, it may be building relationships with potential partners, with potential customers. We do this at OAI across all technologies and across all industries and all of the 11 different federal agencies with SBIR programs, of which the DoD is only one, it's the largest one, and DARPA is only one part of the DoD. Our work is generally funded by your taxes, both state and local, so in the end, you don't have to pay separately for us. And so one more slide, which is our contact information. Really, I want that so that you have it in these slides afterwards, and you can get in touch with Anthony and or me afterwards. And with that, I want to turn this over to Jennifer and let you run the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you all. It's really nice to speak with you guys about DARPA small business programs and our SBIR and STTR program. We were in Ohio back in, I think it was September. And so hopefully some of you came to our DARPA Forward event. But for today, I'm going to focus on giving you guys a bit of background on DARPA and our SBIR and STTR programs, as I think this background and understanding of our agency is a real key to submitting a successful proposal and to working with us. As Dan said, lots of government agencies are some similarities and some differences, and at DARPA, we are pretty different. So if we can go ahead and put the slides up. All right. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. So our mission, right, at DARPA, our mission is really to create breakthrough technologies and capabilities for national security that both prevent and create strategic surprise. We invest very heavily in early stage products and ideas, really trying to change that impossible into the possible. And as you can see from the slide, our successes and achievements really speak for themselves. We're responsible for such things as, the internet, Siri, and lots more game-changing technologies and ideas. I always like to kind of talk on this slide about the fact that it was actually a DARPA small business. It was a SBIR from the 1980s that was actually responsible for designing the integrated chip that enabled Wi-Fi. That DARPA SBIR project pioneered the technologies that really enable wireless connections found in virtually every smartphone, tablet, and computer. And it made smartphones capable of everything from browsing the internet and providing driving directions to streaming music and wireless headphones and so much more. So our mission, our successes, they really speak for themselves. And that's why I'm here with you guys, because I really want you guys to join us. So if we go to the next slide, I'd like to talk about our commitment to small business. I always like to pause before we get too deep in to talk about that, because it's important and it's something that we are committed to. As you can see from this slide, DARPA did about 29% of its available funding with small businesses in FY22, with over $650 million going to small businesses. Our spend on small business runs the gamut, everything from R&D programs, even down to our service support contracts. Last year alone, we had about $55 million that were sent to small disadvantaged businesses, and over $120 million that were used for our SBIR and STTR programs. Multiple dollars in contracts went to 8As, better-known small businesses, women-owned, hub-zoned, and the like. So in DARPA, we really recognize our need to partner with small businesses, for it's the small businesses that are really the ones that are able to take those risks that really help us push that technology needle forward and really find those early stage investments and really support our mission. So how do we do that? Let's go to the next slide. Excuse me. So DARPA, we are composed of 6 technical offices. We have the science offices and the systems offices. And I will say that utilization of small businesses, and especially the SBIR and STTR program, is pretty evenly spread out among our tech offices. I do encourage you, though, to do your research, become familiar with the tech offices, the thrust areas that are there that are important to them, as well as check our website to find those specialized tech areas that are important to the program managers that are in those offices. This snapshot really gives, it's a nice snapshot in time, and it's representative of what we're thinking about and what we're doing now. But our focus areas do shift from time to time based on the makeup of the program managers in our office or the new state-of-the-art technology that we need to be researching. So you'll have these slides after the presentation, but I encourage you to take them as a starting point and always check our website regularly, and especially before submitting or responding to a BAA. Next slide. Okay. So I said at the beginning, our DARPA is a pretty unique agency, and I think this slide does a pretty good job of kind of explaining that. In order to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology, which is DARPA's mission, we have to employ a unique operating model. We are a $3.8 billion agency that's really not afraid to take risks if it means that we can move that technology needle forward. And most importantly, we are not afraid to fail. We are a program manager-centric agency. We rotate our program managers in for term appointments, and we give them that mission or challenge to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology. And they do that by releasing programs and SBIRs and challenges. So let's go on to the next slide. In DARPA, there are 3 main ways to do businesses with us. First is programs. Those tend to be the large, multi-year, multidisciplinary efforts. Then we have challenges, and those are competitions based on unique R&D problems. And then finally, we have the smaller efforts like seedlings, explorations, and our SBIR and STTR program. And for today's talk, we're going to focus on the SBIR and STTR program. But any of these are great ways to sort of great entry points to get involved with DARPA. So let's talk about the SBIR and STTR program. Okay. Our program is quite unique and distinct from the other government agencies. it really is quite different from what you'll see across the federal government. We have really updated and really redesigned these programs to try to complement and support the technical program work being done in our tech offices. So unlike the majority of the DoD components, our SBIR and STTR topics are released under a DoD out-of-cycle BAA. And under this BAA, just like in our tech offices, we release these topics just in time or on a rolling basis, instead of at one of the 3 predetermined DoD SBIR and STTR release dates. Now, we do this because it allows us to be more responsive to the needs of our technical program managers, who themselves, as I mentioned, are in term appointments. They're on limited tenure. So this just-in-time topic release allows us to be responsive to their needs. But it also allows us to align our SBIR and STTR opportunities with a program manager's primary or larger technology programs. And that in turn gives small businesses or the SBIR and STTR recipients the benefits that are typically associated with integration into a larger established program. In fact, a key distinguisher of our program, another one that you see, is our program manager-centric approach. So our program managers draft, evaluate, and run the SBIR topics. They are fully engaged with the topic and the performer from the outset. And this really helps us set the research and performer up for success, as it's much more of a partnership and a working relationship where they work together for a shared vision or goal. And DARPA, operating this way, our performers really have the buy-in and the support of our PMs from the start. And it's those PMs that are really developing these topic ideas. And as frequently as I mentioned, frequently these are tied to larger DARPA programs. Now, we also have one final piece. It really helps add to our uniqueness of the program. We have a new pilot program that we started about 2 years ago now, which is our SBIR XL program. It's a pilot that we have that's focused on transition and really aimed at reimagining SBIRs to transform ideas into successful small businesses that can scale. I'll get to that in just a sec. We'll go to the next slide for a minute. Okay. So before I dive into SBIR XL, let's talk about our current SBIR program. Now, in order to maximize our budget, which is approximately $125 million this year, and an attempt to fund as many ideas as we can, our SBIR and STTR awards are slightly lower, as you can see from the slide, than the SBA caps. We are this year typically going to award about $275,000 for a phase 1 feasibility study and about $1.8 million for a phase 2 or a direct to phase 2 effort. However, there are instances, and they are becoming more frequent, when we do exceed these amounts, and we even exceed the SBA caps. We'll do that in cases when an effort is so specialized that there's a need to invest higher dollar amounts in order to get a good return. Also at DARPA, we invest or receive additional non-SBIR funds for efforts, and that helps us expand on the work or obtain even greater results. Next slide. At DARPA, we really use our SBIR and STTR program in multiple ways, more so I think than other agencies. I like to include this slide as it really shows, it highlights all the various ways that our PMs use this program to supplement and support the work they're doing on their larger technical programs. Now, phase 1s and direct to phase 2s are ways that we release our topics. And we release those again as just in time. However, we actually frequently utilize adoptions. And some of you may know that as cross-agency awards. And we do a lot of sequential or even concurrent phase 2s, all to advance our research. I will pause though and say, for those of you that have ever received a SBIR or an STTR, and they're still eligible for either their first phase 2 or their second phase 2 on a topic, if it's on a topic that you think DARPA may have interest in, I would encourage you to do your research on the tech offices and identify a program manager to see if there's a fit so that the program manager might be interested in picking up your research where it left off or adopting you. We do that quite frequently in this agency. To that end, we also work with other agencies and will co-fund awards. This not only allows us to share costs and gain additional research on a topic, but it also typically helps us line up a good transition pathway for the research. We use our enhancement or our matching program to further the research and also assist with transition. And finally, our newest tool, which I alluded to a couple slides ago, is our SBIR XL pilot. And that's really focused on, like I said, transition and helping our small businesses scale. But before I dive into that, I think the real takeaway from this slide is that at DARPA, we really view the SBIR and STTR programs as useful tools in the toolbox for research. They do this to research, advance, and grow our technology. And our PMs use these tools, every single one of them, in a variety of different ways. So I encourage you to become familiar with these tools, as they're great ways to get involved in any SBIR program, not just DARPA's. Next slide. Let me dive into our SBIR XL pilot. It's something I'm really excited about. As I mentioned, right, this is our newest tool, and it's focused on transition and really aimed at reimagining our SBIRs so that we can try to help them form into successful businesses that can scale. At DARPA, a lot of times our businesses are small and they're early, and their work with DARPA could be their first, second, or third touch point with the government. And that's why I'm so excited about this program, because we're really helping them through this program try to come up with their transition and their growth. We've got an increased emphasis on transition and commercialization milestones. And through SBIR XL, we're asking proposers to really think beyond the SBIR and really do a lot of advanced planning and preparation for transition. We're offering increased award values and a built-in matching or enhancement component to add emphasis for this fact. And finally, in an attempt to sort of appeal to as wide a group as possible, this pilot actually has a simplified and streamlined proposal format. We request responses for a 15-page slide deck and a 20-page white paper, as opposed to our traditional directive phase 2 format, which would be 20 pages of a feasibility study, a 40-page proposal, and a 5-page commercialization plan. We hope that through this pilot, we'll attract lots of new non-traditional performers and also really help them bridge that valley of death. I'm hoping that through this program, they'll be even better prepared for transition. I think we've made about 8 awards under the program, and I believe 7 of them were new performers to DARPA. Okay, next slide, please. So speaking of transition, right? We help all of our performers. My goal is really to give our performers legs so that they can walk out of DARPA and pick up their next program. So in order to help all of our performers grow this technology, the SBIR and STTR program at DARPA offers a transition commercialization support program, or we call it TCSP. And through this program, we really aim to help the companies move their tech beyond phase 2 and transition into other parts of the government or even to industry. And you can see from the slide, through the support, we try to help and strengthen DARPA SBIR tech investments to have impact within the DoD acquisition train and the US technology community. Next slide. Now, while commercialization and dual use technologies are the goals of the SBIR and STTR program, as I mentioned a little bit ago, at DARPA, a lot of our projects tend to be earlier stage and lower TRL, and they usually require more R&D beyond the initial phase 2 project. There really isn't a one-size-fits-all transition path for our SBIRs and STTRs. So recognizing that, and as you can see from the slide, we explore many different and concurrent transition pathways for our SBIRs and STTRs. You know, as I said, I'm trying to give our performers and their programs these legs, so to speak, so that they have life after DARPA, so that these programs, these performers, they continue their work and they can help these SBIR technology investments have impact within the DoD acquisition chain and the tech community. So we do this in various ways, right? We'll do this through promoted matchmaking and technology interchange meetings, or TIMs. And we'll do these with large primes and other government agencies to really try to help identify interest in projects that could lead to collaboration or funding for further development. And one thing that we do a little different than other agencies is we try to do this early and often. What we found is that engagement early and often is key. Excuse me. Early engagement with a potential end user or investors really helps more effectively mature the technology. It helps secure funding and create those partnerships to hopefully innovate better technologies. a lot of times our program managers and our performers are so completely immersed in their research and their work that the requirements of the end users can sometimes get forgotten, lost, or overlooked. So in order to counter that and try to prevent this, we emphasize transition and commercialization activities early and often and throughout the life of the SBIR. Right? So by engaging early and often, we can really decrease the time it takes to get to market and help deter major shifts or reworks on projects. You know, at DARPA, we are not necessarily the ones integrating technology. We are not the end user, but what we're trying to do is help prepare your research and technology to be integrated. And so we really have to be extra vigilant during the development and execution of these programs and really do our best to ensure that these projects will eventually be picked up by various customers. Our transition and commercialization support program really does everything we can to try to help level set our SBIRs and STTR performers and get them ready for future success. So speaking of success, before I go on and talk about DARPA, I always like to take a pause and highlight one of our recent success stories, Influid Energy. They were, and actually still are, a pretty young company, but with support from our program and the additional funding that we have helped them obtain from outside agencies, and their recent admittance into a special program at DARPA, we are setting them up for success and game-changing technology that will alter all of our everyday lives. So let's take a look.
It is thrilling to see electric vehicles finally getting a foothold in commercial markets. But because this EV revolution is driven primarily by lithium batteries, it is difficult for the Department of Defense to electrify military vehicles. I'll share with you 3 DoD mission needs where lithium batteries currently fall short: readiness, resupply, and safety. In forward operating areas, we maintain a state of constant readiness. When a vehicle is out of power, we need to be able to refuel in 15 minutes or less. We operate all over the world, including places where there is no power grid. So we bring with us all of the energy we need to power our vehicles and our generators. We've all seen the dramatic pictures of electric vehicles on fire. This is dangerous at home, but it is more dangerous when you're being shot at. We could better meet each of these DoD mission needs if we had an inherently safe, high energy dense liquid battery that we could resupply and pump like gasoline. This is why the research that we've been funding with Influid Energy is so exciting. Flow battery technology has been around since at least the 1960s and are well known for their safety, practically unlimited cycle life, and low cost. But because liquids cannot hold as much energy as solids, typical flow batteries are not energy dense and are too big for electric vehicles. Influid's innovation is that they are introducing a solid-liquid hybrid material using solid nanoparticles stably suspended in liquid electrolyte. This nanoelectric fuel has the high energy storage capacity of solids in a pumpable liquid format, dramatically shrinking the size of the flow battery to something we can put in an electric vehicle. With this high energy dense liquid battery, we can quickly refuel and resupply using the same model we do today by trucking in the nanoelectric fuel to forward operating areas. One of the most exciting properties of this novel fuel is that it is inherently safe. Not only will it not burn, but the aqueous electrolyte will actually put fire out. The potential commercial applications for this technology should not be understated. Imagine driving your personal electric vehicle to a refueling station, pumping the old battery out, and refueling with a new fully charged battery and driving off in 5 minutes, not 5 hours. The infrastructure for both supply and distribution already in place for gasoline could be repurposed. And since the battery is never consumed, sustainment supply chains are nearly eliminated. This technology is the first I've seen that could lead to a truly sustainable, well-to-wheel energy solution.
Without DARPA's continued support to maintain our efforts, it would be impossible to move the needle on a much-needed disruption to the status quo in energy storage research and development. And only through the SBIR program can out-of-the-box thinking and concepts come to fruition. The SBIR program exists to de-risk blue sky projects, has a long history of doing so and is critical to our continued success.
All right, so Influent, they're just one of the many success stories we have to tell you. But in order to keep those successes going, we need to engage with the community. We need to engage with you to find new businesses and research institutions like you. So next slide, please. Our latest effort is through our newest initiative. And this is really aimed at small businesses. It's DARPA Bridges. And this is a pilot effort aimed at tapping into innovation from small companies that traditionally don't work with the DoD on classified research and development efforts. Bridges is trying to connect innovators directly with the problems that exist in the classified realm so that you can help us develop solutions. It's still in the early stages of the pilot, but if this is something that interests you, I encourage you to visit our website to learn more about DARPA Bridges to see if that may be an option for you. Next slide. So before I wrap up, just a couple of slides to piece all this together and tell you about ways to navigate and get started, right? I talked about a little bit about DARPA and our SBIR program, but I want to make sure that I give you the full picture and talk to you about ways to engage, even before responding to a BAA. And I think that that's a really important point because I think the work that you can do ahead of submitting a proposal is just as valuable, if not more so to you, as the submission of the actual proposal itself. And to work with DARPA on any sort of project, whether it be a SBIR, a seedling, a program, or work as a sub, whatever, you really need to understand the agency, or more specifically, how or what a PM is thinking. Remember, I've said a couple of times that DARPA is a PM-centric organization. We are PM-driven, and so this slide tries to highlight some of the ways for you to connect with the program manager or DARPA overall, right? The obvious way is to get involved with DARPA or to work as a prime or a sub, or get involved with the SBIR program, the program that I just talked about, right? But there are some other more subtle ways that can really help small businesses or universities learn more about DARPA and how our PMs think. In DARPA, we are a lean agency. We only have about 120 or so program managers. It's not challenging. It's not a black box to find who's interested in your area of research. And when you do, I encourage you, attend an industry or proposers day. Many of them are still virtual or have a virtual component to them. And those present great opportunities for you to learn not just about DARPA or the program, but also it's a great way for you to potentially meet other teammates and partners for you to work with in some form or fashion. And there's a lot of value there because it's also a good way for you to network and meet some of the people that have been working with DARPA for years and get some introductions into DARPA. Review the Tech Office open BAAs. Each technical office has an open BAA, and I encourage you to read those and really try to understand the thrust areas so that you can figure out ways that your research can enhance those areas. And also to attend outreach events like this to help familiarize yourself with the agency, the SBIR program, and whatnot. Next slide. I added this slide because it's not just enough to know different ways to engage. It can be overwhelming about where to start. So after you do familiarize yourself with the agency, I suggest that you look for opportunities to make that connection with an office or a program manager. Right? Review our website. Identify the program manager or program managers that could really have interest in your respective research areas. And then reach out to them with your ideas to gain feedback or input. These sessions really provide you with a great opportunity to get inside the head of an evaluator or a PM, so to speak. It really will help you understand our agency better and most likely help you submit a stronger proposal. And when you do reach to them, I would challenge you to keep the Hallmark Catechism in mind. And if you don't know the Hallmark Catechism, I encourage you to take a look at our website. George Hallmeyer was a DARPA director in the 70s, and he put together a series of 7 questions. They're simple questions, some of which are on the screen right now. And these are questions that our program managers really need to answer whenever they're proposing a new program or a topic. 5 of the questions are on this slide because those are the 5 that are really the most important to program managers. So time and time again, I hear from program managers, the best way to really connect with them is for new small businesses, new institutions to craft a message to the program managers, trying to answer those 5 questions about your research work. That helps them get a better understanding of not only what you're working on, but how it can fit into their current portfolio of programs and their work. I suggest you keep messages short. There's no need to send more than a few paragraphs. And when you do get a meeting with them, be sure to send your read aheads in advance of the meeting. That allows you to spend just a few minutes talking about what you've sent and introduce them to your research so that the bulk of the time can really be spent getting feedback and listening to the program manager. I think crafting a message to the program managers, answering the Hallmark Catechism, and sending read-aheads really will help those conversations flow. And don't forget, as I mentioned on that toolbox slide, if you have a SBIR or STTR that's eligible for adoption, mention that in your introductory email too. I can tell you countless stories, small businesses reaching out to program managers, answering the Hallmark question and saying they're eligible for adoption. And then the program manager picks up the phone and calls me and says, I'd like to take them on board. So be sure to use that tool in your toolbox as well. Next question, or next slide. Okay, so before I wrap up, just a few parting thoughts on the best ways to work with DARPA, right? Really the best advice though I can give you is to do your research, something I've kind of echoed throughout this presentation, right? Become familiar with the issues facing national security and the thrust areas that are important to the tech offices at DARPA. Reach out to those DARPA program managers about your idea and get their insight into a topic, right? Remember, DARPA is a PM-centric organization. So understanding the needs and the problems that the PMs are grappling with is really the key to submitting a successful proposal at DARPA. And finally, take a look at our website. It has a lot of helpful information, not just about DARPA, but also about our SBIR and STTR programs in general. And it's quite useful as you formulate your program and try to navigate the agency. But remember, our office thrust areas and focuses do shift from time to time. So it is really advisable to check our website regularly, and especially before submitting or responding to a BAA. Next slide. I think that's about it. Oh, perfect. I appreciate your time and attention. I hope that I helped give a nice overview of the SBIR program and ways to work with DARPA. I am happy, Dan, to take questions now, or I don't know if we're holding them till the end.
Why don't we hold them till the end? I think we have 2 short presentations just about other sources of help. Thank you, Jennifer. That was great. Just a couple things I took from it is DARPA is a program-centric department, which is really different from pretty much all of the other parts of the DoD. And your program managers have the power, they have the budget, and they're looking to fund particular kinds of technologies for a period of time, for a few years typically, and then move on to the next program. And that's a very different model from what we see elsewhere. Going with that, your SBIR and STTR solicitations are really issued in a just-in-time manner. They come out when you're ready, as opposed to being on a fixed schedule ahead of time. So as a proposer, as an applicant, as someone, a small business that wants to work with you, we have to pay attention in a little bit different way, and not be watching the calendar, but be watching for when the topics become available. And then SBIR and STTR awards are really just one of the kinds of ways that companies have to work with you. There's the large programs that might involve several companies and universities. There's the challenges and the seedlings and the various sizes of pieces. And I think that's really helpful to understand that there are many ways of entering into a great relationship as a small business with DARPA. Then I was really interested in the work you're doing. It's a little bit newer, I think, in promoting adoption and translating some of your technologies that you support across other branches, other components of the DoD, to the Army, to the Air Force, back and forth. And then the efforts now on, especially because so much of what DARPA is working on is very early stage, earlier than most of the rest of the Department of Defense, and a long time to real widespread adoption typically. But you're putting lots and lots of effort into helping those companies and those technologies get towards commercialization and profitability and growing an industry. So thank you so much. So those are what I took from it, just to bring it together. I want to transition now to Joey Scott, talk about the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, now called the Apex Accelerators. And Joey, there you are. I see you on my screen. I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Like Dan said, my name is Joey Scott. I am the statewide director for our formerly known as PTAC, now known as Apex Accelerators. So I just have a brief little presentation here. Dan, can you confirm real quick that you're seeing that all right? Perfect. So I don't know if my presentation will be as great as Jennifer's, but I do have a video like her. It's just like 10 seconds though. So let me, I don't think there'll be sound, but if there is, don't worry. So that is a nice little quick snippet that the DoD, our new federal leadership, put together for us to help illustrate the transition that we've gone through. So little background, some of you may know us as Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We are your one-stop shop for all things government contracting. We just have a new name. So same mission, new name, new federal leadership. And so what are we, what do we do? For those of you that don't know, we exist to help businesses sell to federal, state, and local government. So we help businesses throughout the United States. So there's about 96 different Apex accelerators throughout the country and in territories. So wherever you're at, even if you're not in Ohio, you'll be able to find a resource local to you. So here in Ohio, we have our statewide Apex Accelerator Network, and then we also have a regional one down at South Point. And so, although I am the statewide director, we have a great team located at Ohio University. Karen's helping put this on. We got one at Youngstown State University and one at Rhodes State College as well. So I know some of my team are on this call with us today, and I'm very grateful for all that they do and the expert assistance that they provided to companies. So how do we help companies? Well, I kind of summarize it in 3 buckets. So we got procurement readiness, procurement success, and just staying in the government marketplace. And that's kind of a catch-all. So procurement readiness, it's a lot on the front end, helping you with basic registrations, such as getting registered in SAM. If you're focused on SBIR or looking to sell to DARPA, you want to make sure that you're registered in SBIR.gov and a few other places. DoD has their own portal, DSIP. So we can help you make sure you've got all your registrations in place. So some of that, finer details are already taken care of, and you can focus on your proposals and focus on what you need to do. It'll also help you with, state registrations, looking at business certifications at the federal and state level as well. And then helping you find agency buying patterns and history. We have a lot of great resources available to us, research databases that can help us pull reports for you so that you know what agencies are buying and how they're doing it. Are they buying it directly? Or are they putting it on a credit card? Or are they using some other vehicle? And then we also do a lot of connecting businesses with opportunities. We have business to government matchmakers. Here in Ohio, we have the Ohio Business Matchmaker, happens every year. This year, it'll be May 2nd and 3rd. So we'll be sending more information out later this week and next week. So just put that on your calendars if you're interested. Then we also have a bid delivery system. You get contract opportunities to your inbox based on Google keyword search. And I should back up and say everything that we do here in Apex Accelerators is free and confidential. So that's kind of the front end. Procurement success, the next category here, a little bit more advanced. If you find an opportunity, we can review the solicitation with you, make sure that you understand everything, talk through strategies on how to prepare for it. We can't write anything, we can't act on your behalf. However, we can review your proposal with you once you've written it, make sure you're addressing the scope of work, make sure you're addressing all the other requirements so that you are submitting a responsive and responsible proposal. And we can also help you understand contract clauses if you have any questions on those as well. And then talking about strategy, how to leverage your past performance. Whether you're new to government contracting or a seasoned veteran, you want to leverage your past performance so that you can get more past performance. You want one success to lead to multiple successes. And we can talk through all that with you. So this third catch-all category I have, staying in procurement. Making sure that you understand regulations in the federal government space, state, local, whatever it may be, but also helping you find other opportunities, such as innovation, small business innovation research, tech transfer, DARPA, DoD has their own innovation fund. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of different vehicles that you can explore, and we can assist you as well. And so just a few other services or focus areas that we'll be adding now that we are the Apex Accelerators is to go spend some more time on foreign ownership, control, and influence, FOCI, more time and energy on cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is very important. DoD is rolling out their initiative, but you want to make sure that as a business, even if you're not selling to the government, cybersecurity is, first and foremost at top of your mind too, because small businesses that don't protect themselves, from a simple phishing email could be held hostage for, a lot of money and end up closing. So cybersecurity is very important. Then, more focus on government led innovation programs and some more focus and awareness for all of the great opportunities found under the Defense Production Act, Title III. All right. Just want to, this is kind of our metrics for last year. We're putting together everything for 22, but in 21, clients in Ohio won over $1.2 billion. That's billion with a B. And most of that money was federal prime contracts. So state of Ohio contractors are doing great. And, we're here to assist and make sure that we turn those successes into even more successes. And then this is just a nice little illustration of how we assist through the entire process. There's a big misnomer that, PTACs or Apex only helps, with registrations and then they're done. No, we are there every step of the way to assist. Right? And aptac.us.org or aptac-us.org, that is our national organization. You can find your local PTAC or Apex Accelerator if you are not in Ohio. And then this is just our coverage map as well. So one last thing I'd like to say, other than the great services that we have here in Apex, is that here in Ohio we have other great. We have the Small Business Development Center. We have an Export Assistance Network if you're looking for international expansion. We have Minority Business Assistance Centers, MEP for manufacturers. So, get connected with your local Apex, and we can help you get connected to the other resources as well here in the state of Ohio, so that you are well taken care of. And one of the biggest things that we do is collaborate. Events like this with Dan and OAI and Jennifer and DARPA, but also the next person that you'll hear, we have a great relationship with and so many other organizations. So I just want to thank you all for the time to present to you a little bit about Ohio Apex Accelerators.
Thank you, Joey. That was really helpful. I very much liked your slide with the road and the map of the various services you offer. I work with you and your team all the time, and we're always, passing referrals back and forth. Most commonly, as you said, helping companies get their registrations done is the first step, and particularly the SAM registration to get a cage code is a little tricky. And I always tell people, don't try to do that on your own. Go to the experts. But one thing I wanted to tie back to Jennifer's comment, as you mentioned, helping companies and entrepreneurs work on their capability statements. That's a great piece of collateral that a company can put together to use as their introduction to DARPA or DARPA's program manager. Jennifer mentioned, trying to get out the key steps in the Heiler Catechism. And a capability statement is one way of putting those together onto a piece of paper and using them as your company resume to introduce yourself to the program officer or program manager at DARPA and elsewhere in the DoD. So thank you. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Shonda Harris. Tell us a little bit about the SBA offices. Shonda. There you are.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Great. Let me go ahead and share. And let me know if you can see it on the full screen.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shonda Harris, and I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Columbus District Office of the SBA. And we're just grateful that we were even invited to participate in today's webinar. And I am kind of presenting, I am from the Columbus District Office, but I am representing, there are 2 SBA offices in Ohio. So I'm just kind of representing kind of both offices today. Just kind of give you a brief little overview, even as Joey kind of gave a brief overview of Apex, we just want to give you a brief overview about the SBA. If you're not familiar with our agency, we are a federal agency, and primarily our core focus is to work and ignite change and assisting our small businesses in any kind of area as it relates to them, if they're starting, if they're growing, or if they're expanding or recovering their business. Hang on, I am going to change the way my view is. I can't see my slides. So let me see if I can change this. And put me on the side. Choose. I may end up stopping this so I can see. Okay, can you still see it on the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just couldn't see my slides with my, all right, so again,
it's your slide presentation, not the full, it's not your full screen slide, but we can see your slides.
It's on full now?
No, now it is.
Okay, great. All right, again, the SBA is a federal agency, and primarily what we are responsible for is anything as it relates to a small business. If you're looking to start your business, grow your business, expand your business, even recovery, the SBA does have resources to assist you. And as I mentioned, there are actually 2 SBA offices in Ohio. I'm with the Columbus District Office here in Columbus. We cover the majority of Ohio's 88 counties, 60 of those counties in central and southern Ohio. And then in the Cleveland area, we do have a Cleveland District Office that covers the remaining 28 counties in the northeastern area. And so as it relates to if you're growing your small business or expanding, I work in the contracting facility in the area, and there are 4 essential kind of main focus areas that the SBA focuses on to provide that type of assistance to small businesses, anything kind of from cradle to grave. So if you needed small business counseling, if you needed, of course, access to capital, everybody needs money to start their business. If you're looking for contracting or crisis support, those are kind of our four main areas. I do work in contracting and supporting companies that are in the 8A program. And a lot of times we recognize that if companies are doing contracting, in addition to providing services, a lot of them are providing or looking to do research and development. We don't highlight that a lot, but we are grateful that we are able to support those small businesses that are looking to grow or expand their services, or if they're specifically in research and development. The SBA serves as the coordinating agency for the SBIR and STTR program. And primarily what we do is just kind of provide kind of oversight for the program and developing and providing program guidance and policies. And as an agency, we help to gather information or analysis and reporting to the SBIR platform, and just kind of helping federal agencies as they implement their SBIR program. And federal agencies are required to, as they're working with small businesses that are doing research and innovation, reporting that information to Congress on an annual basis. And so we help as an agency, help to increase agencies' participation in the SBIR and STTR program by increasing our federal outreach through training in both private and public support networks with entrepreneurs. We also serve as an information link for the SBIR and STTR program. And so if you want more information, there is an email that you can send your request to. Primarily, the goals of the SBIR and STTR program is really to meet federal research and development needs. We recognize our small businesses, even if they're doing contracts, doing them at the federal level, we do want to support that innovation and helping to increase commercialization if our small businesses have a technology or innovation idea, and helping them to do that. Also stimulating innovation, fostering participation through entrepreneurship, especially amongst our women-owned small businesses and socially and economically disadvantaged small businesses, and then also fostering technology transfer through R&D between small businesses and research institutions. So just kind of the federal agencies that participate in the SBIR and STTR program, I believe Dan may have mentioned that there are about 11 agencies, federal agencies that do participate, and how they are involved. Each year, federal agencies, if their budgets exceed 100 million, they're required to kind of set aside funding for research and development projects. So if you are a small business and you do have a research idea, you're doing innovation, we do come across those small businesses that are interested. We really do encourage you to check out the SBIR program. So if a federal agency's budget exceeds 1 billion with a B, then they are required to allocate funding through the STTR program. And as Dan had mentioned, there are 11 agencies that participate in SBIR, and 5 of those agencies also participate in STTR. And each agency kind of facilitates and administers their program a little bit differently, but they do follow the guidelines that are set up and established by Congress. And so the agencies have topics that they submit solicitations to for small businesses to bid on and submit proposals, and awards are made on a competitive basis for those proposal evaluations. Here's a list of those federal agencies. I think Dan had mentioned really the largest would be your Department of Defense, the agencies that roll underneath the Department of Defense, also the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, which we have in Cincinnati, HHS, Homeland Security, Department of Transportation. I wasn't aware that the Department of the Transportation was one of the agencies. So we're grateful that we do have 11 agencies that support these programs. And then I wanted to provide just some additional resources if you are looking, if you're a small business that you have an idea, you have an innovation, you have technology that you'd like to further, you can look for those opportunities. If you go to www.sbir.gov, you can find more information about the type of awards. If you wanted to search by state, by individual firm, if you recognize that a firm maybe has won an award, you can search by the agencies, the list of agencies that I had. You can search by map. You can search by reports. In addition to that, there is a resource tab. If you had questions you wanted to find, there are conferences and information that's available if you wanted to participate in some additional programming to find out more information. You could go to the resources tab on SBIR.gov and then also look up some of the economic impact studies. Also, you could do keyword searches if you're looking for specific areas, specific technology areas. You can do it by topic. You can search, and also doing keyword searches if you wanted to identify a specific agency as it relates to if you wanted to do business with them as far as your innovation. And just kind of connecting, I'm at a district office, and then also Vanessa Baran, the other BOS that's on the webinar today, we're in district offices. And although we really provide and we really lean on our resource partners to assist us. So if you're a small business and you're working with us, you're a small business that has an idea, we work closely with the Apex Accelerators, and we're grateful that they invited us to be here today. But if you do have an idea, we're grateful that the Ohio Aerospace Institute is the resource partner that we really send a lot of our referrals to if someone has an idea and they're interested. And I just like to say, prior to me joining SBA, I was a PTAC counselor. Apex Accelerator was a PTAC counselor. And one of the small businesses had an idea. I believe they're on the webinar today. They do nanotechnology. And at the time, this was maybe about 8 years ago, they were interested in getting an SBIR grant. And we were able to connect with them over December and just come to find out that I believe they're in phase 1 or phase 2 of them getting an award. So you are able to, it is something that you can do, and we definitely strongly encourage you to participate, get interested, and just want to thank again the Ohio Aerospace Institute. I know I've referred so many small businesses, and they have been able to assist. So that is it for me. These are the, myself and Jill Nagy Reynolds are the business opportunity specialists in Columbus, and Vanessa is the business opportunity specialist up in Cleveland.
Thank you, Shonda.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you mentioned, we work across the ecosystem. OAI works with the SBA offices all the time, and with the Apex Accelerators / PTACs all of the time, and we all work together and complement each other and bring different skills. I know for you entrepreneurs, it can be a little bit tricky to figure out who should I talk to. So just start where you think, and we'll point you to the right people if we're not the right ones. So thank you. Shonda pointed us to SBIR.gov. It's a great website. I use it all the time. And you pointed us to a couple of things. The database of all the past SBIR and STTR awards that have been made over the course of the last 30 or so years. And that's a great way to find out what kinds of things have been funded and maybe connections to companies and or people. One of the menus you didn't highlight, Shonda, but there's a whole menu bar of tutorials, and they're really good tutorials both as short videos and as short PDF files to help people put together a good responsive proposal. And there's, I don't know, 20 or 30 topics there. And I point people to them all the time. I use them all the time, actually, because I'm trying to remember all of these things. So really good stuff from the SBA. Thank you. And as you mentioned, there's 11 federal agencies that have SBIR and or STTR programs. The Department of Defense is one of them, and DARPA is part of the Department of Defense. And that's really the focus today. But OAI, the SBA, the Apex accelerators, others, we work across and with all of those SBIR and STTR programs in all of the various agencies. With that, I want to turn it over to questions. I see there's a couple in the chat. Keep them coming, and I'm going to ask Vanessa to moderate and read us out the chat questions, and we can try to answer.
Okay, we have a question from Adam Wilson. He wants to know, does Ohio Aerospace Institute use drone services?
You know, that's a little bit out of topic here. Maybe we should talk offline, Adam. You know, to my knowledge, the answer is no, but we certainly support companies in the development of drone technology across Ohio, and especially in Northeast Ohio. And maybe there's a conversation for us to be had there.
Jose Martin asked, will this presentation be available? Karen Weibel responded back with a yes.
And it will be available both as the slides and as a video.
John Hudak asks, can a sole proprietorship receive SBIR or STTR Phase 1 and Phase 2 awards?
Yeah, and that's actually quite common, John. My experience is that most companies, well, let me step back to the eligibility. To be eligible to apply for an SBIR or an STTR award, the company has to be small, where the definition of small is less than 500 employees. But my experience is that the vast majority of them, I think this is back up by good data, the vast majority of the companies that apply for and win SBIR and STTR awards are quite a bit smaller than that, less than 20 employees, very often less than 10, and I would say quite often less than 2 employees. Most typically what we see are LLCs as the legal structure, and you can often set up your sole proprietorship as an LLC and go that way. You do have to be a company, so it can be a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a C Corp. You must be a for-profit company.
And I would like to ask from Jennifer, have you seen a lot of very small companies be successful within DARPA?
That's a great question, Karen. So I will say the majority of our companies are small. They're about 50 people or less. I think for some of the research we do, a one-person company may be a bit challenging to be able to answer the call of a topic. But I certainly have seen businesses that are, 4 or 5 people strong succeed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. You might see more very 1-2 person companies starting off in other agencies. National Science Foundation, that's quite common, and some of the others too.
Okay, Mansour Khan asks, what's a good resource to advise if we are interested in SBIR for medical technologies?
Sure. Get in touch with me or with Anthony is probably a great place to start. And as I say, we work across all technologies. There's lots of interest in the SBIR programs in medical technologies, most obviously from the National Institutes of Health, but also from the Department of Defense funds quite a bit of medical technologies. We can ask Jennifer if that includes DARPA. And also the National Science Foundation funds a certain amount of medical technology. So Jennifer, I actually don't know. Do you fund much in the way of medical technology?
I mean, we have one of our offices, if you recall from the slide, is the Biological Technologies office. And that would certainly be an office to look for to see if there's any synergies. Our Defense Sciences office as well, which is a basic sciences office, would be another great office to look to. And as I said, right, our thrust area shifts. So at one time, We were doing some stuff. I'm not sure what our medical technology and countermeasures research is looking at this point in time as we're sort of moving out of the pandemic, but those are great places to start.
Thank you.
Wayne Hill asks, how should tech startups that haven't filed incorporation papers with the government be involved with these programs? Startups tend to want to get market fit and traction before they file legal paperwork, yet their productions do work.
I'm gonna maybe,
Their products, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
their products do work.
I'll have my own thoughts on how to answer that, but maybe I want to let either Joey or Shonda take a first crack at it.
I'm just rereading the question. Shonda, if you
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I should take started.
because I mean, so like I guess let me talk as I kind of read through it here. I mean, so essentially you haven't filed the incorporation yet, so you're a sole proprietor. As we talked before, you can definitely get involved with the programs. I guess my thing, the one thing I would say first and foremost is your SAM registration. If you if you want to go for these programs, you're going to need to be registered in SAM for most of them, if not all. And so your SAM would be as a sole proprietor. Whenever you do become incorporated, you're going to have to update your SAM. So just because the SAM registration is rather finicky right now, my personal recommendation would be figure out your type of business first. And then, that way you can set up your SAM right the first go around. Not that we can't assist you, to make those changes. We absolutely can. But it may save you some legwork in the long run. That's just my thoughts from the top of my head here.
I'll expand on that just a little bit. Is that in Ohio, forming a limited liability corporation, an LLC, is pretty easy. You file a form or two on the Ohio Secretary of State's office website. There's a $99 registration fee, and you can do it by yourself. I would advise you perhaps to get an attorney to help you, and that might cost you a few $100s. But that gets you set up as an LLC, and that's so incorporating in Ohio is not very difficult. In other states, I don't really know how it works, but it's similar. And once you've done that, then the other registrations are, from an SBIR, STTR point of view, are free. Shonda, do you have anything else to add?
Just to add to that, yes, if somebody is looking to start up, you can do it on your own, but there are actually wonderful resources, as Joey mentioned. The SBDC, Small Business Development Center, the SBA, that's one of the SBA's resource partners as it relates to starting up your business. Great resource for you to go to, and they actually do have some trainings. I know the state of Ohio, if you're looking to get started, there's a packet. I forget because it's gone through a couple iterations, but essentially anything as it relates to what you're going to need to do with your small business, you can put in the type of idea as it relates to the type of business that you want to start. And it essentially gives you a checklist of things that you're going to need. And so you can actually go through that, work with the SBDCs. And one of the beauties of the SBDCs, there is no cost. I know here in Columbus, they do have a startup workshop called BASE. I believe they still put it on every month. It is virtual, and they kind of go over all of the basic things that you're going to need, including how to register with the Secretary of State. And sometimes there are some nuances you may have questions. So I would also just recommend you may want to work with a resource partner as you're getting started and getting everything focused, getting registered in SAM, getting a capability statement maybe before going after SBIR and STTR. And then also working with Apex accelerators. You don't have to, but sometimes just laying the foundation work may kind of help work out some of the kinks before you get to that stage.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Shonda mentioned here, as far as your resource network, besides some of the federal resources that are available, I would encourage you, if you're not quite ready to incorporate, there's plenty of resources at your local and state level in your entrepreneurial network or entrepreneurial community that you can tap into. That can be from organizations that support entrepreneurs that haven't quite incorporated. They may be just getting started and validating ideas, to the point of where you may be looking for a low-cost space or advisors as far as incubators and accelerators. So sounds like this individual may be at that point. And so I would encourage you to look within your entrepreneurial community. If you want more information, reach out to myself and Dan. We can definitely point you in the right direction depending upon where you're at.
Great, thank you.
John Hudak wants to know who can help with SAM registration.
Joey, who can help?
Your local Apex Accelerator, formerly known as PTAC, can assist you with all things government contracting, especially the SAM registration and the unique entity identifier that you need even before you can get to the SAM registration.
Thank you. And we'll have the
Okay.
contacts. Joey talked about them in his slides, but we'll have those contacts to the Apex accelerators in the slides afterwards as well.
Maggie Petrush, she wants to know, I don't see any open bridges programs. Is the program only for open topics, or can we contact a program manager to see if there is anything available?
I think this is for Jennifer.
Yep. So currently, right now, we have just the solicitation posted, and we will be releasing topics underneath that solicitation. So I would encourage you to become familiar with the goals and what we're trying to do and what's required of you, and then check back as topics are released underneath that BAA.
Thank you.
Jose Martin wants to know, does the SBA help with business plans? Well, some of ours in the Cleveland district office, some of our lender relations specialists will help with business plans, but a lot of times we send you to the Service Corps retired executives, because they're retired executives that have been in business and know how to do their business plans. So we will send you to them, which is another one of our resource partners for SBA. And they're very well educated and know what they're doing. Shonda, you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Vanessa, for bringing that up, because I meant to bring that up when I mentioned SBDC earlier. But as Vanessa said, yes, SCORE, again, the SBDCs, if you're looking to start up, if you just have a concept or idea, even though SCOREs and SBDCs are supported by SBA, I would also encourage, because I believe Ohio really has a great resource partner network. Also, the Minority Business Assistance Centers, your MBACs, your Women's Business Centers, also ECDI. So I know everybody's not here in Columbus, but if you're up in the Cleveland area, really a lot of those resource partners can assist you if you do are starting off with an idea, you just have a thought to create that business plan. Also, there are templates on the SBA's website, and all of the resources that I mentioned, SBDC, SCORE, MBAC, Women's Business Center, ECDI, do have templates that you can start with to help you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's lots of resources, and in addition to those, in OEI, Anthony and I don't do a lot with that, but we are connected to all of those resources and probably some others as well. There's lots of help available for trying to put together business plans.
Currently, that is all the questions we have.
Very good. Anybody else? Last chance. I thought I saw someone's hand raised earlier. I don't see it now. Did that go away?
That was me, Dan.
Thank you.
I have a question. I tried to send my message to my chat, but it didn't go through. I just wanted to ask Jennifer, I have a product that that was a NASA spinoff. and the product is also in the Nassau Product Hall of Fame. I need some help with that. The manufacturer is willing to advance another technology that we have where this product will help environmentally to help curtail emissions from CO2 and carbon in plants and also cars, the manufacturing plants and the cars. So who would I talk to?
I would suggest, without taking too much time here, send a message to my team at SBIR@DARPA.mil. That's SBIR@DARPA.mil. And we can kind of meet with you separately and sort of narrow down what the problem is that you are looking into and see if there is an interest from a program manager at DARPA.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we had a couple more questions come in. Wayne Hill wants to know, Jennifer Thabet, who has ownership of the intellectual property developed with DARPA?
Well, it depends on the program and what the data rights clauses say, but I will say that SBIR and STTR have very favorable data rights for the performers. SBIR has 20 years data rights, and I believe the STTR program is still at 5 years.
And those are general, not just for DARPA, but for the entire SBIR programs with all the other agencies too.
John Hudak wanted to know, where can we download this presentation?
And I can take that. I'll be emailing out the recording of this presentation once it's finalized with the link, and also copies of all the PowerPoint presentation to all of our attendees today.
Thank you, Karen.
Kevin Johnson wants to know, where can we find more info on SBIR XL?
Well, I would say check our website or reach to us at SBIR@DARPA.mil, and we can provide more information on that.
Jose Martin wants to know, does any team provide guidance on patents?
Jose, I'll take a stab at that and maybe ask others to offer as well. There are resources available. It really depends what kind of patent advice you're looking for. Are you looking to file a patent and write a patent? Are you looking to prosecute it? Are you looking for clearance to commercialize your product? One place that, and I don't know where you are physically, Jose, but one place that's actually quite good is the Akron Public Library has I'm not going to get the name of it right, but a patent resource center, which is affiliated with the U.S. Patents and Trademark Association. And there's lots of help there in the Akron Public Library, and they have classes on general patents information every so often, both online and, at least before the pandemic, in person. I haven't kept up with what they're doing now. Maybe I can point you to some other resources if you want to, an offline, discuss with me more about what your questions are.
Jose said file a patent.
Yeah, okay, so let's I would maybe contact me with an email after this, Jose, and we can talk about what might be a good place to start. And if anyone else has good ideas, let me know or chime in.
That's all the questions we have again.
Yeah, real quick, Dan. It's going to depend upon where Jose is located.
Yeah.
The USPTO has some law clinics, located throughout the US. That would be a starting point. Some of the universities with law schools have a variety of programs that offer assistance as far as filing patents.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm assuming that Jose is interested in kind of from a small business standpoint, trying to leverage resources versus bringing on an IP lawyer to assist. Ultimately, that's the way to go as far as filing a patent is working with an IP attorney to provide that expertise. But there are some resources that can assist if you're a small business and you're just in the process of, growing your company, and that patent will be a platform technology that you build upon.
You got my point, Anthony. And the cost of the patent is of the IP attorney is around $15,000 to $20,000.
Sure.
That I'm trying to do as much as I can before.
Yeah, so let's have a conversation. I mean, there may be some ways if you can't, the fees are a little prohibitive, or you're still trying to evaluate that decision, depending upon our origins of the technology as far as that you're looking at patenting, you could have an opportunity maybe to leverage some resources. So we can talk and try to give you some guidance that can help.
And SBDCs also sometimes have some resources explaining the patent process.
Thank you. Anything else, Vanessa?
No, that was all the questions we had again.
All right, last chance. Well, with that, I'll say thank you. I'll especially say thank you to Jennifer and your colleagues at DARPA. This has been very helpful. Thank you to Joey and Karen and the Apex Accelerators for organizing and presenting. And thank you to Vanessa and Shonda at SBA, and to Anthony, my colleague, and really all of you for participating. And we're here. We're happy to talk further one-on-one and go from there. Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. And again, this presentation will be emailed out to all the attendees today.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.